What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be reacting to the worst WWE Money in the Bank winners. If you guys have not been following the channel for quite some time, Money in the Bank has always been one of my favorite, stipulations or pay-per-views outside of the Royal Rumble. And it's always cool to see who is going to take that next step in their career as potentially winning that briefcase and guaranteeing themselves a future world championship opportunity. And it's been a crazy thing to see how it's been able to expand over the years, and now we have women being involved and stuff like that. But we can all agree that that both briefcases are cool, but the winners a lot of the times over the years have somewhat been questionable as well. So we're gonna go back down memory lane and see what are the worst Money in the Bank winners. Shout out to Rated M Wrestling for this video. I will leave a link to his channel in the description below. Dope content creator in the wrestling community. Always has some great, amazing takes on a lot of things in the pro wrestling space. So you guys go subscribe to his channel. Get him to 15K. And tell him we're kicking it. Leo, you sent you. But we're going to get into it. We're not going to waste any more time.
Since Money in the Bank was introduced back at WrestleMania 21, the last 19 years have been pretty up and down. When it's being used at its best, there have been some great cash-ins that have been able to elevate people into becoming main event mainstays. Guys like Edge, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk, just to name a few.
Yeah.
But then there's the guys we're going to talk about today.
Oh
Guys
boy.
that won the briefcase, and for one reason or another, things did not end up working out for them. Whether it was because of bad booking, bad timing, or other circumstances, there have been some pretty bad winners of the Money in the Bank contract. Who are those people? Well, it's your boy Mo if you don't already know, and this is my list of the worst Money in the Bank winners of all time. Let's get into it.
Let's see what he's got. Oh, Mr. Kennedy.
So we're going to start this list with the third winner of the Money in the Bank contract. Oh, hold on. I'm going to try it one time. Mr. Kennedy!
Hey. Rated M Wrestling, Mo, that was a dope impression right there. That was a 10 out of 10 impression right there. But Mr. Kennedy, I feel like with Mr. Kennedy, I think he had a lot of potential to be a great Money in the Bank winner, have a great run with the briefcase before eventually cashing in. I know there were some storylines being pitched around that time for him being Vince McMahon's a legitimate son, which I feel like if they did do that storyline, it probably would have propelled him to another level, but they didn't go with it because of the injury. I guess they kind of exaggerated the injury a little bit, like it was supposed to be worse, and it ended up being not as worse as people would have expected to be. I think he only missed maybe like a couple of weeks or so, and he lost the briefcase to Edge, unfortunately, and he ended up cashing in on the World Championship and whatnot. But yeah, it sucked for him, and I feel like the thing is with him being on this list, I think that I would honestly say it wasn't really his fault. Honestly, I don't think it was his fault. I think it was just the injury that kind of derailed him here. But hopefully, I wish they would have tried to give him another chance. I feel like he could have been able to bounce back. If you look at his TNA run, he just showed that he could have really been something in the WWE, and they just didn't decide to give him another opportunity for whatever reason.
Kennedy! Listen, I hate to see his name on the list, to be honest, because this is a guy that had a lot of upside to him. He was solid in the ring, great on the mic, and extremely charismatic. So when he won the briefcase at WrestleMania 23, it looked like the right call here. But then all of a sudden, 36 days later, the man loses the contract to Edge on Raw just for Edge to cash in a few days later on SmackDown. Whole time it was an injury that was supposed to keep him out for months. But the thing is, the doctor messed up because it was actually supposed to be only a few weeks.
Yep.
Meaning, all this was for nothing. Real talk, the doctor would have had to run the ones with me. I'm not gonna lie to you, because what the fuck?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
when Kennedy came back, he never really regained that steam, and he ended up being released a couple years later. The first major fumble in the history of Money in the Bank. And it wasn't even him or the booker's fault either. But can't really say the same for this next guy.
What were WWE thinking? I legit want to know what they were thinking. Like, how do you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and this is what you do? They had to wake up on the wrong side of the bed if you going with Jack Swagger, because I could have sworn I've seen that Money in the Bank, and you had a lot of talent in that. I think you had Christian in that match, could have won. Dolph Ziggler was in that match. You had Drew McIntyre. You had Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne, all of amazing talent, but this is what you go with. Jack Swagger. That world championship reign was atrocious. The fact that he only held that title for probably, what, a month? And he lost it in a fatal 4-way? Probably arguably one of the worst world champions of all time. And one of the worst briefcase holders of all time, period, point blank.
I'm going to just let Stephen A. explain the main issue with this one.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
So we just let anybody hold the briefcase now, huh? Mind you, the match had 9. Yes,
look at this. Look at this. I want y'all to comment down below, and y'all can and try to make a case that Jack Swagger actually made sense out of all these competitors. Christian, who just returned and was probably one of the most over in the company, who should have won the Money in the Bank but didn't. You had Shelton Benjamin, who was an MVP of these Money in the Bank matches, who should have won one. Drew McIntyre was already on his way to being a star, being the chosen one. Kane, he was a staple in these matches. Kofi Kingston was just having some crazy spots in his match. Evan Bourne, same thing. Matt Hardy could have made sense. Dolph Ziggler would have been cool. And MVP would have been fine. Everybody in this match, outside of maybe Jack Swagger, honestly, because everybody else would have been a fine decision. But you chose the legitimately worst opponent in this match. Bro, I don't understand how you messed this up. You had a lot of great talent in this match, and this is what you do. Oh my gosh, bro.
9 other options here. Kofi, Young Drew, Christian being the easy choice. Literally anybody else. And they chose Jack Swagger.
And on top of that, he was struggling. This man was struggling to even get down to unhook the briefcase. This man was struggling to unhook the briefcase. Like, bro, this man was sitting up there for at least about a good 30 seconds before he was unable to unhook it. Like, bro, didn't they practice these matches before? Didn't they legit practice these matches before they went live? And he was still struggling. Okay.
Come on, man.
Not to mention, it felt like 30 hours before this idiot actually got the briefcase down. Did nobody teach him how to unhook it beforehand? So then
That's what I'm saying.
Cashes in on Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight title. And, bro, just look at his face. Why was he so bored at the fact that...
Bro, you're supposed to be having some type of emotion when you're winning a world championship or just winning a championship, period. This is the reaction. This right here is what your champion's face looked like after winning a world title. Looking so unfazed by holding this title. No emotion at all. And then they tried to make him a star again after the DUI, I think, or whatever that was. And he ended up winning the Elimination Chamber by pinning a Randy Orton to face Alberto Del Rio for the World Championship. One of the worst matches I've seen in WrestleMania history. And I've seen worse. Because you got this past year's WrestleMania main event with Cody and Cena. You got Cena and Miz. You got the Snooki match. Like, come on now.
That he just won his first world title. Big fella. If you don't care, why should I? But you know what else is boring? His fucking world title.
He said, big fella, if you don't care, why should we? He's not wrong. If you don't act like you care to be a world champion, then why should we care about you as champion? And then his championship reign was god awful.
Genuinely one of the worst title reigns in the history of WWE. Can you name me one title defense? Seriously.
Nope.
Shit was so bad, they redid Money in the Bank the very same year.
Yep.
Do you understand just how ass you have to be? And according to reports, John Cena refused to let Swagger cash in on him, which, hey, smart man.
Smart man. Because if he would have lost his title to Jack Swagger, that would have been just, I don't know, probably one of the worst booking decisions I've ever seen. John Cena, around this time, was almost like Super Cena. I think he was Super Cena around this time. And Super Cena loses to Jack Swagger for the WWE Championship? No. No. No.
I'm not really going to get to say much good about Cena for the rest of the video, so I'll give him the salute for that. But damn, bro, this is the guy they went with? Seriously, were any of y'all moved by Jack Swagger of all people? Let me know.
No.
Because I just don't get it.
Oh, Lord. This one, bro, he didn't, this is another guy that didn't move me either. Like, if you want to be honest, it felt like when they gave him the briefcase, it felt rushed because it's like they didn't build to it or anything. Like, they pushed this guy so heavily, and I just didn't see it. I did not see it with him. I'm going to be honest. I did not see it. Like, you had him debut in 2010, and within like 2-3 months or so, he wins the Royal Rumble, challenges Edge in like at one of his last few WrestleManias before he took a break because of the neck injury, and then goes on to win Money in the Bank and cash in during the height of CM Punk in 2011. Bro, no.
So even if I put aside the fact this is one of the few wrestlers that I genuinely dislike, and also put aside the fact that despite them giving him cool cars, his own ring announcer, at the time the biggest Royal Rumble win of all time.
And what's crazy is the fact that his ring announcer was more over than him.
And he still had no aura. What made Del
Nope.
Rio's Money in the Bank win so bad was the timing of everything.
Yep.
So we're in the middle of the summer of Punk, which is one of the hottest angles WWE had in such a long time, but also one of the most mishandled storylines in the history of WWE. And for some reason, they just felt the need to throw Del Rio in the middle of all of this. So after Punk wins the unification match between him and Cena at SummerSlam, for whatever reason, Kevin Nash returns to beat the dog shit out of Punk, and out comes Alberto El Cabron, Del Rio, to cash in and win the world title, just for him to lose it to John Cena a month later. What the hell was the point? You brought Punk back in 8 days for what? You stunted the summer of Punk for what exactly? Did he have to cash in now? This for me came off as a swerve just for the sake of a swerve. And on top of that, he just felt completely unimportant with the title. Yo, side note, y'all remember the tournament for the WWE title on the Raw after Money in the Bank?
Yep.
Yeah, the one that Deadbeat eventually won. Yeah, so for whatever reason, they put Del Rio in it, despite the fact he was holding the contract that was specifically made for the WWE.
That made no sense. If you're going to be a briefcase holder, why are you in a tournament for a WWE Championship when you can easily cash in during the finals or after the finals have concluded?
WWE Championship. God damn it, WWE. Sometimes I just don't understand y'all. Oh yeah, and also fuck Del Rio.
Yep. Yeah, this one was
Look,
terrible too.
I love John Cena. Always have, always will. But there's just some things from his career I cannot defend, and this is one of those. And the problem was, if you
Bro, this was probably like the lineup I did not like. Like, it was only 5 people. You could have had opportunities to have more people involved. You could have had a Randy Orton, but I think he was injured around this time. You could have put him in there. That could have made at least 6 former WWE champions. Like, I did not like this Money in the Bank. This was probably like one of the few that I go back and I did not enjoy watching. And I watched this one live, I believe, and I didn't like it either. And I was young, so that just lets you know something.
look at who the other options were, not exactly the most exciting.
Nope.
Big Show, Kane, The Miz. Bro, what? The only one I could have justified making any sense was Chris Jericho.
He should have
He
won
was
one.
gone a few months later. So they give it to a guy who literally can get a title match whenever he wants.
Yep.
Bro, it looked like the man won it by accident, just for him to turn around and announce his cash in for Raw 1000 a couple weeks later. And because of a run-in from the Big Show that caused a DQ, he became the first person to fail their Money in the Bank cash-in. Listen, I understand that somebody had to eventually fail their cash-in, but this was just unnecessary.
Yep.
Money in the Bank should be used to elevate new guys, not stat pad somebody who's literally the face of the company. And the fact that they were trying to tell the story of John Cena having the worst year of his life, supposedly, but yet he's gaining more accolades at the same time. But then again, that whole story goes out the window because they had him beat Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules. Like I said, I can't defend the guy sometimes. But I will say, the best thing we got out of this whole thing was that face. You know the one. Absolutely classic.
Oh, Lord.
And Cena strikes again. The problem with the briefcase for the World Heavyweight title this time around was that the plan was to unify both belts. So whoever had the contract was pretty much screwed, but I hate the fact that it had to be Damien Sandow. The intellectual savior of the masses character was awesome. They even gave him his own custom briefcase to fit the gimmick.
I enjoyed his character.
Holy shit, did they make him look stupid. Okay, so he confronts Cena, whose arm is in a sling, by the way, and Damien blindsides Cena and beats that arm to hell. So, okay, cool. You made him look like a vicious, ruthless heel. Great. So he cashes in the contract just to lose to a single-armed attitude adjustment.
What kind of shit is that?
You know, I feel like the word buried gets thrown around a lot sometimes, maybe way too much. But no.
This one is burial.
This was a true burial. You couldn't even beat a one-armed man. You literally beat down. How do you look yourself in the mirror after
And
that?
then on top of that, you were beating the crap out of Cena with the briefcase. You were attacking the injured arm, so they should have gave you an advantage, and you still lose. That just makes me go back and think, like, when you look at the lineup, not many people would have made sense to win, but you could have made a situation for maybe like a Cody. Cody would have been fine. You could have done Dean Ambrose at the time because he was with the Shield, and they were heels, and they could have used the Shield to beat up on Cena because they were targeting the top faces in the company and beating them. That would have probably been the best decision, honestly, when I look back at it.
And I get it. Damien Sandow was never going to be put in the
Nope.
position to unify both the world titles. But
Nope.
did you have to do it like this? The man never even sniffed any more singles titles for the rest of his WWE career and was just doing a bunch of comedy relief until a couple years down the line where he got released.
Yep.
There's a drop ball here, man. And just so y'all know, we're not done with John Cena just yet.
Oh, no. Card, or at least in this list. But, like, Cena and Charlotte are one and the same. In a sense of, well, not for Charlotte, because Charlotte loses when she's get cashed in on. But, like, a lot of the Money in the Bank cash-in seem to happen when Charlotte is champion. Because I think Carmella cashed in on her, Bayley cashed in on her, and I believe Nikki ASH cashed in on her. So she's been on the receiving end of 3 cash-ins. Roman was the same, I think, for a little bit. And then John Cena was the same. So, yeah.
Look,
This one was terrible. 2015. Ugh. That, I don't know what they were thinking. But, like, Sheamus was not it around that time. He wasn't. You could have maybe gave Dolph Ziggler another briefcase win and actually gave him another chance to see if he was able to have a good run. You could have done that. Then you could have done, I don't know, who else was in that match? Roman, but people didn't want that. Randy, I don't know. Kane wasn't going to happen. Neville would have been cool because Neville would have been a new star. So you had at least 1-2 options. Kofi probably could have been something as well, but they didn't do that. If they wanted to make a case, you could have added Bray Wyatt, RIP to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was over at that point. You could have added him into the Money in the Bank and had him win.
I love Sheamus. I think he's one of those guys that's not going to actually get the respect he deserves until he's actually done. And to be honest, I don't even think him with the briefcase was as bad as some of these other ones. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But if we keep it at a stack, who really cared to see a Sheamus world title run in 2015? Since he'd been back, he really wasn't doing much of anything interesting.
No.
And all they used him for in the end was to try and get Roman Reigns.
That's
over
all
as
it
the
was, to get
babyface
Roman over.
again. And granted, it worked for like 3 weeks. But hey, We got the League of Nations out of all this, right, guys?
Brother,
Oh Lord, this one was terrible.
So now we've reached the 6 straight years of WWE just completely mishandling this briefcase, and it starts here in 2017. First things first, these dummies decided Money in the Bank needed to be a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. Why though? But they had a lot of great choices here anyways. Zayn, Owens, Nakamura. But nah, they went with Baron Corbin.
And you look at the lineup, similar to the one with Jack Swagger. A lot of great talent, but you give it to the one that I don't think was ready just yet. Did it have potential? Yes, it had potential, but they ruined it. They ruined this match.
But I was kind of okay with it because at the time he was presented as kind of an upper mid-card guy. So this made some sense.
Yeah.
But holy shit, his cash-in was so bad.
To Jinder Mahal of all people.
So it's the go-home SmackDown for SummerSlam, and it's John Cena versus WWE Champion Jinder Mahal. Yep, we're in the dark times of SmackDown, folks. And the match ends on a DQ when Corbin, who's got a match with Cena at SummerSlam, by the way, runs in and beats them both up. So he decides, fuck it, I'ma just cash in right now. And when the bell rings, Corbin, instead of focusing on the actual champion, he decides to knock Cena off the apron and gets rolled up by Jinder from behind and fails his cash-in. Mind you, Jinder just wrestled a whole match with John Cena, and Corbin is completely fresh. I do not care about any backstage politics that were going on. You could have had him lose the briefcase or something to somebody who could have cashed in themselves. But nah, they just went with straight character assassination, and the guy still, to this day, has not fully recovered from this whole situation. Also, why did every failed cash-in up to this point involve John Cena?
That's what I'm
This
saying.
had to be done on purpose, bro. There's no way. And the worst part of this all, the Jinder Mahal WWE title reign just had to continue. I hate it here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a look at this man. Does this look like somebody that would need a Money in the Bank to win a world title? Back
Nope.
in 2018, Braun Strowman was so organically over, it was insane. The man was so over, he got the dumb catchphrase of "get these hands" to become popular.
He was mega
But
over.
For whatever reason, WWE found every way possible to keep him away from winning a world title, despite him being significantly more popular than the guy that they actually wanted on top. So when they gave him the briefcase, I disagreed with it, but hey, maybe they'll finally capitalize on his popularity. But
I'll
nope.
be honest, around this time, I think the two people that should have won it was either Samoa Joe, considering we were getting that feud between him and AJ, or Finn Balor. Those are the two people that actually should have won.
They just used him to pretty much mask their bad booking. So first they bring him out before the 1,325th match between Brock and Roman at SummerSlam for the Universal title, just so that match doesn't get hijacked. He actually gets beat down by Brock and just becomes a non-factor in the whole thing.
Yep.
Then the next night when he tried to cash in, he gets beat down by the Shield out of nowhere. So then the week after that, he and Roman agreed to a Hell in a Cell match for the Universal title, meaning he announced his cash-in. But for whatever reason, they turned him heel, even though his anger was completely justified. So then we get to Hell in a Cell, Brock Lesnar shows up, F5's both guys.
One of the worst Hell in a Cell matches outside of the one between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. What were they thinking in 2018 and 2019 with Hell in a Cell? The whole point of Hell in a Cell is no rules, no DQ, no like if you hit somebody with a weapon in a match, you should not stop the match. The match should continue until there's a definitive winner.
And the match just ends. Not in a pinfall, not in a submission, just ends. How do you explain that? How this doesn't get the same amount of slander as Hell in a Cell 2019, I don't understand. Because this was the start of WWE thinking it's okay to do this type of finish inside the cell. But damn, what a way to destroy a guy's momentum, huh? And yeah, sure, he eventually wins the Universal title, like 2 years later, in a match he originally wasn't even supposed to be in.
Nope.
I just don't get it. What was WWE's problem with Braun? Was it because he got himself organically over? Okay, now that I think about it, that does sound like something Vince hates. So, there you go.
Yeah. This right here legit pissed me off. You have a Money in the Bank ladder match where you had a lot of these competitors have to win matches to qualify for this match and go through this grueling match for a Brock Lesnar who lost the championship at WrestleMania to Seth Rollins, who did not need the briefcase to justify him getting another crack, another opportunity at the title. It's Brock Lesnar. He can easily just insert himself for a title. He can easily act for a title match. He's going to get it. Just off his name value alone. Why did you need to enter yourself in a Money in the Bank match? I mean, it was kind of cool seeing him with the briefcase, but I didn't care, bro. I didn't. You had all those talent in there. You had Finn Balor, Andrade, Ricochet, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Mustafa Ali. Future stars in that match. But you give it to none of those guys. And the whole plan was to give Mustafa Ali the briefcase, which would have made sense for the simple fact that he did not get to make WrestleMania because of the injury. This would have been a great way to reward him and continue that story that you're trying to tell, which is elevate him to a main event caliber talent. But soon as he's getting ready to go out, nope, you're not winning anymore because we want Brock Lesnar. Just dumb, bro. That was god awful.
Why? What was the reason for this? This is Brock freaking Lesnar we're talking about here. The man can walk out on Raw anytime he wants, ask for a title match, and they're going to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he's Brock freaking Lesnar. Name me one #1 contenders match this man has been in ever since he came back in 2012. Oh, that's right.
None.
Can't, because it's never happened. So why in the hell did WWE feel the need to put the Money in the Bank on him? And not just that, they went about it in the most disrespectful way possible. So these guys in the match, who for the most part were all great options to win the contract, and then went in there and they were putting on an instant classic. Seriously, go back and watch the match.
Yeah.
The spots and the bumps these guys are putting themselves through was insane. And towards the end, it looked like Mustafa Ali was about to grab the briefcase. And I mean, hey, the whole Kofi Mania spot was originally his, so all right, this makes sense. But then outruns Brock Lesnar, and they just made Ali look so stupid. The man had more than enough time to pull the briefcase down before Brock got down there. But nope, Brock pushes down on the ladder, climbs up, grabs the briefcase after not even being in the match originally. The man didn't even take a bump. The fact that this wasn't even the worst thing that happened in 2019 WWE says a lot about just how ass that year was. But that's another
video. It was trash, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
And while, yes, Boombox Brock was entertaining and hilarious, there was no reason they needed to do this to get the belt back on Brock. Bruh, this man didn't even know how the contract worked. And yeah, they did this to, I guess, stat pad just to have him lose to Seth a month later. Dude, let me tell you, being a Brock Lesnar fan during this time was really hard because
2019 is not it.
Was just ridiculous.
The fact that he won 2 world titles in 1 year. He won the Universal and the WWE Championship within the same year. Oh yeah, this one was not it. I feel like they were just doing this just for the sake of doing it. Like I don't understand what the logical reason. Yeah, he was over because of the whole stuff that he went through going into WrestleMania with Mandy, but outside of that, I did not care.
Look, I understand Otis had really gotten himself over around this time with the whole Mandy Rose story and all, but let's be real. Nobody looked at him as a future world champion.
Nope.
Not even the WWE themselves. First of all, he won what will forever be the weirdest Money in the Bank ladder match of all time.
Yep.
And not only that, he won the briefcase by accident when AJ Styles fumbled it and Otis just so happened to catch it. Which, sure, funny, lol, but come on now. There were way better options in this match. And I remember the whole time when he was holding the briefcase, I just kept contemplating how exactly they were going to make him fail his cash-in. And they just never made the effort to make it look like he could potentially cash in successfully. And then he doesn't even get to cash in because he lost the contract to The Miz a few months later because his boy Tucker turns on him for literally no reason.
Yeah,
and they
no
never
reason.
even have a match over it. I really don't even have much to say about this The no fans era was a time they were just trying anything, and this was just a complete waste of the briefcase.
I
Again,
I get the fact that with this one they were trying something new, but Nikki Ash just wasn't it. She just was not believable as world champion to me. I mean, you had other talent. I think this was 2021. Yeah, I don't. I think. I'm trying to think who's in that match. I think Zelina was in that match. I don't think she was gonna be because she was already tag champion, I believe, at that time. Um, Tamina, no. Natalia, no. Naomi would have been cool. Naomi would have been cool. I think that would have been a great Money in the Bank winner. Hopefully, she wins it this year. Um, yeah, I think Naomi would have been cool. I'm trying to see who else was present in that match. Alexa, she already won it. I didn't think she was gonna win it again. And then you had Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan probably would have been the best scenario outside of Naomi, only because they were starting to push her and the crowd was really, really behind her at this point. Like she was mega over. Like go back, I think to SmackDown before she got a lot of cheers in on that night. So I thought that was probably what they were gonna do, but they went with probably like the least interesting option, I would say.
I'm not going to take too much time with this one because there's just not much to it. Look, I like Nikki Cross, but this Nikki ASH gimmick was just so lame. They had
Yep.
her going from a psycho woman to dressing like a fucking dweeb. So she wins the contract and cashes in the next night on Charlotte because apparently WWE forgot that the women can actually hold on to the briefcase for a long period of time. But she just loses the title right back to Charlotte a month later at SummerSlam. And right back down the card she went. What exactly did this do for anybody besides get Charlotte closer to her 16 world titles? So the most recent entry on this list was oh so bad because it was a mix of incredibly bad timing and maybe even worse booking. So at the
The
time, they were
booking
trying to.
was trash, and then on top of that, it's like nobody believed Austin Theory was gonna cash in on Roman Reigns when you had both titles, and then plus you had the Bloodline helping him in these matches as well. So I don't think they were. It was gonna be a case where I could have seen him cashing in successfully. Now, if we would have had a world championship like we do now in Raw, maybe that's a possibility.
Present Theory as Vince's new pet project, so because of that, they threw him in the ladder match when he wasn't even in it before, and then they had him win it, which I mean, I guess is fine. The briefcase should be used to elevate new talent, and Theory is a really talented dude. But the thing is, he won it at a time where Roman has both world titles, and as we all know, he wasn't losing anytime soon. Another 2 years, in fact. And this was about a year before they reintroduced the World Heavyweight title. So clearly, they've booked themselves into a corner. So how did they get themselves out of it? In the most nonsensical,
Cashing in on a
character-damaging
mid
way
card
possible.
title.
First of all, every time this man tried to cash in, he would get ridiculed by the Bloodline, or he would get beaten up, whether it was Roman himself or Tyson Fury of all people. But then the cherry on top of this shit cake, they had this man cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on a mid-card title.
What?
So Seth Rollins is the US champion and he issues an open challenge, meaning anyone can have a title match, no questions asked. If you or I pulled up and asked for a match, we would have gotten it that night. But then Seth gets beaten down by Bobby Lashley and then outruns Theory, and instead of simply just getting Rollins back up or something and accepting the open challenge, this imbecile cashes in his briefcase for the United States Championship. Since when was that allowed? And not only
That's what I'm saying, bro.
he loses his cash in for a mid-card title. I have never been so dumbfounded by a Money in the Bank cash in ever in my time of watching WWE. Honestly, him just losing to Roman would have made so much more sense because Roman was literally presented as unbeatable, and also he would have at least lost to the world champion. But no, this is what they did. This was the first big Triple H fumble since he had taken control, and they tried to fix it, but it just didn't work for me. I did not care when he won the US title later on. Hell, the man beat John Cena at WrestleMania, and I still could not take him serious because of the stench this left on him. And I hope things get better for him because, like I said, he's a very talented guy. but this did him absolutely no favors.
Yep.
For sure, the worst Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. At least that's my opinion. Honestly, had this been the end of the Money in the Bank concept, I would not have been surprised at all. And thankfully, 2023 was the end of that streak, and we got some solid winners with Damian Priest and Io Sky. And they've both gone on to do pretty well for themselves. And hopefully this is the trend going forward because, man, we've had some rough times with the contract. Let's not go back to having mid-card cash-ins or, you know, Jack Swagger. But I feel like I've covered my bases on this, but let me know if there's anyone I did not mention that you feel should have been on this list. But that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you for watching. If you've made it to the end and you enjoyed the video, make sure to let me know by liking the video, commenting down below, subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you. I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I mean, he really touched on everything that needed to be said. I mean, the guy, a lot of these Money in the Banks over the years or winners risks were very questionable. Like, they didn't, either the booking was not good or the timing of it was bad. It was a lot of different factors with a lot of these different men and women on this list and stuff like that. But I would say over the past year or two, I think they've done a little bit better in the sense of who they put the contract on. Hopefully this year, at the time of recording the video, Money in the Bank on June 7th, we get some good winners as well. So hopefully that trend does continue. We don't go back to what we had when we had Jack Swagger and Alberto Del Rio and stuff like that. I don't want to go back to those days of that at all. So yeah. Like I said before I end this video, I know this may have went on a little bit longer than I expected to, but I'm going to give this video a like. Like I said, go subscribe to the channel, his channel. I will leave it in the link down below in the description. Go subscribe to the channel. Get him to 15K. Let him know Kicking It with Leo sent you. But with that being said, hope everyone has a great day, great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.